Hello there. And welcome to another talk. As you, excuse me, as you will notice, I'm always taking pictures of my room. This is my room, with all the lights and the candles, my bedroom. And I'm always taking pictures of it, the Apple Mac computer as well. And yeah, it's just picture. I just think, at night time before I go to bed, I like to put all the candles on. And I put on, I think it's called tea light candles. And when that goes out, then I blow out the candles, I put all the lights out. And then I'm ready for bed. Just something I like to do. It's just a thing that I do. I think it helps to relax me. Because naturally, before this awakening, and the person I used to be was very hyperactive. Like when I was growing up in school, they said they thought I had ADHD. If people were to see me now, and this, let's say they knew me when I was 17, 18, they probably wouldn't think it was the same person. Because people used to say, sit down, relax. But I didn't to transfer from that to this. It was a difficult journey. Difficult, but also a blessing as well. Also a choice. What happened to me was, out of nowhere, nothingness. If you're new to my stuff, if you just stumbled across one of my videos on YouTube or something, because when I do a video, I try and get them to the main social media platforms as well as my website. But if you just stumbled across one of my stuff, was a guy as I am now. I like writing songs, and I faded away from music for a little while. That's because of the awakening, and I'm trying to blend everything in with it. But what happened to me was that a spiritual awakening. I had an unexpected spiritual awakening. Just under 10 years ago. I was 24 years of age, and I'm 33 on my birthday. And yeah, I sat down one day. I just had enough of everything. But I guess when people have enough, some people kill themselves. Some people are in the same position as I was when I just had the awakening, when I decided to wake up. But some people, when they're in that moment of, right, I've had it, they kill themselves. They commit suicide. So I guess it's a choice. Like I say, it's a choice. And then I had it, but instead of making the negative choice, I made the positive choice. And then I started to go through an unexpected spiritual awakening. I didn't know it was called a spiritual awakening. I didn't know what was happening. All of a sudden, I'm going through this process. I was starting to cry all the time, and I was like, what's going on? And started to go through this shifting, like you're tapping into the angels or something. That's what it felt like, and that stayed with me. And when I'm doing these talks like this, when I'm flowing, where I'm really being authentic, I'm really going into deep stuff. But when it gets too deep, when I go into too deep, sometimes I'll stop and I'll change the subject. And that's because it was a very traumatic experience. And naturally, it's anyone that's went through something, because it wasn't just an amazing experience, it was also a very traumatic experience. Very traumatic. And it's like anyone that's went through some, traumatic experience, it's when you go deep in it, it can get more difficult. And someone asked me that question, why I don't go deep. Someone asked me that recently, and that's the reason, because you're talking about something that is very deep, and I talk about it because other people may be will be going through the same thing or something similar. The whole world is awakening. This awakening, very emotional, and ever since then it's just been this inner healing path. Because once you have that awakening, that big massive awakening, what's happened is it's like someone or something has awakened you to what you are, and you know the way now. It's like someone showed you the path, and you know the way now, and the way is within your heart center. This is even spoke about in science and spiritual awakening. That's what's really happening. In that moment when I sat down and had enough, I didn't consciously know I was doing this, but that's what you're doing. And now I feel it a lot more, and I'm aware of it now. But what you're accessing in that spiritual awakening is, in the heart center, there's a heart vortex, and that is, you're tapping into the spiritual world, which leads to heaven. And in the heaven, there's a heaven self. And this is what is happening in that spiritual awakening. That's why I talk about the soul switching idea and how it clicks, because in a sense you are doing that. You're accessing another you in heaven, but it's actually one. It's one thing, but experience itself as separate, like I talk about. And once you start tapping into this heaven self in that spiritual awakening, once you decide to go within your heart center, you start to go through DNA activations, because the heaven self is steering you in that direction, because this is basically a parallel reality, parallel universe from the heaven self. And the heaven self, like I say, it's accessed as soon as you go within your heart center. And once I started going through this awakening, which I wasn't aware I was going within my heart center, I started to I went through a lot of healing. And I haven't had depression for just about 5 years. And I was 28 when I last had depression. I'm 33 my birthday, so just about 5 years. And I had depression all the way up till 28, 24 when I had the awakening. But yeah, what you're ascending to in the awakening is the heaven self. You're aligning with the real self. Because it's like nothingness. People talk of nothingness. But if you have nothingness, and this is how everything is infinite love. Because if you have nothing, and then from nothing you have life, what are you then left with? You've left with appreciation for that life. Amazing appreciation. And this is the love. This is where the love, this is why there's nothing but infinite love. Because it's this appreciation feeling. Oh, thank you, I have a life. But it's actually you that's give you that life. We perceive it as a separate God, but it's actually you that's give it you, because you're the nothing. So if there's only nothing and you're the nothing, then it's only you that can give yourself the life. You see? This is stuff that became very apparent in this awakening. And there's not just one way to spiritually awaken. I had an unexpected and traumatic awakening. But that was traumatic so that when I'm teaching people, they don't have to go through that same experience. By me telling you how to go through that spiritual awakening process, you don't have to have an unexpected awakening, therefore you don't have to go through a traumatic awakening. There's different ways to spiritually awaken. There's the awakening like I had, and then there's awakening through a spiritual teacher. The real spiritual teachers are the ones that have had the spiritual awakenings. There's a PhD in spirituality, but it can't get you an awakening. And people travelled before the lockdown, all over the world, you know, and will, if they get the chance, to gurus and to try and get that awakening, right? And sometimes it happens on rare occasions, and sometimes it doesn't. And it's not them it's doing it, it's yourself. Everything's from within that heart area. And that's why the gut is in relation to that. People talk about the gut as well, because the gut and the heart it's all connected. And this is how you align your chakras. You see, when I talk about chakras and energies, I talk different to someone that's done a course in it, because I've went through the spiritual awakening process. They've not done that, so they'll like focus on an energy point, but that's not how you awaken your energies in your body, your chakras. Remember, the very idea of chakra, wheel of energy, is an idea made up by somebody. Everything's an idea made up by somebody. So, but yeah, it's like that. You get people that have the spiritual awakenings and people that do courses. But if they've not went through the awakening, then they're not going through that proper process. And so that's why you'll notice I talk about chakras and energies a lot differently. How you open it is very simple. It's all about going within that heart center. And then you realize everything's in the present moment. You just let that lead the way. You let your heart vortex lead the way, the heaven self. And then you're on this pathway of letting go, and not just letting go of things, but you're letting go you're even letting go of the idea of letting go. You're just letting go of everything. And this is how you align your energies. Once you start to do that and just stop caring so much, stop, like I was saying to my parents earlier today, and I don't think they probably believe me, maybe they do, but I don't know. But I don't care about money, right? My dad was telling me, oh, you know, you should try and make money, you know, with your path. I don't care about that. I don't care about money. And I have got a richness. This path has given me a richness that money could never give me. Money is basically like everything else in this life. It's a loan. It's a loan. Everything's a loan. Once you let go of the external world and things, this is another thing on the spiritual awakening journey. You become a state of abundance, infinite abundance, where you're attracting infinite things. It's what the awakening is doing. As soon as I start going through awakening, you're receiving relentless insights and knowledge. It's an abundant state where you're rich of knowledge and insights and awareness. And the key is presence. And when you're present, that's the law of abundance. Law of abundance is simply presence, and then you attract everything. And yeah, you know, I just try and pass this knowledge on as best I can, you know. But like I say, people might look at me and think, oh, he's had this awakening, I can't do that. No, the way I awakened was because I had to awaken that way. There was also a choice, remember, as well. Everything, there's no separate power doing anything to you. Right? There's nothing outside of you. You're the infinite nothing. Everything comes from nothingness. That means you've always been. It's all you. Like what Osho once said, and I'll end on this note, that Osho once said that a life doesn't need an outside force to create it. And I'm just going to leave it there. For latest updates, videos, and whatever, you know, stuff I do, please do visit my website at www.lovelightfamily.com. Thank you for watching.